Eswatini opposition government of Eswatini dead injured. A series of ongoing protests in Eswatini against the monarchy and for democratization began in late June 2021. Starting as a peaceful protest on the 20th of June, they escalated after the 25th of June into violence and looting over the weekend as the government took a hardline stance against the demonstrations and prohibited the delivery of petitions. Eswatini is one of the few countries that is an absolute monarchy, with Eswatini III having been the king since 1986. Political parties have been banned since 1973, under the preceding king Sobhuza II, due to a state of emergency that has remained to this day, and are heavily persecuted under anti-terrorism laws. The Prime Minister is appointed by the monarch. Although protests are reportedly rare, there have been demonstrations in 2018 and 2019 over Eswatini's lavish lifestyle and alleged misuse of public funds. In an interview with Mail and Guardian, Martin Zaweli Dlamini, the editor of Swaziland News, an independent dissident publication working from exile in South Africa, stated that the immediate cause of the protest was when 3 pro-democracy MPs advocated for the introduction of a more democratic system. The first protests took place on the 20th of June when rural youth in Manzini region went through a village, shouting political slogans and calling for the right to a democratically chosen prime minister. They blocked roads and set tires on fire. Police reacted to these demonstrations by deploying stun grenades and firing live bullets, leading to protesters retaliating by throwing rocks. The protests spread and escalated into violence on the 25th of June in Umsundaza township, near Mabane, as demonstrators clashed with police and stores were looted and burned. As thousands of people delivered petitions to Tinkhundla authorities, who are democratically appointed in a devolved system, the government stopped them from being delivered, raising controversy from the National Teachers Union and leading to further unrest. On the night of the 28th to the 29th of June, it was speculated that Eswatini III had fled Eswatini amidst increasing disorder. The government denied these reports. However, it was reported that his private plane had been spotted departing the country. The Communist Party of Eswatini claimed that he had fled to South Africa, while the Swaziland Solidarity Network said that he was in Mozambique and had instructed security forces to brutally suppress the protests. On the 29th of June 2021, the demonstrations continued with police trying to repel the protesters with gunfire and tear gas, with both the riot police and the army present on the streets. Police also set blockades across the capital and the government closed schools and bus stations. A curfew was put into place between 1800 and 5 o'clock by the government to try to rout the violence, and business and schools were made to close. Despite this, protests and looting continued on the 30th, and the police and army used deadly force against demonstrators, with internet access becoming limited. At the border city of Oshhoek, hundreds of trucks were stranded due to allegations of protesters targeting imports and the loss of internet, halting entry processing. The South African National Defence Force was requested to prevent further violence and losses by putting the trucks under their protection. On the 1st of July, the economic freedom fighters forced the checkpoint in Mananga to close in support of the protests. According to the Times of Swaziland, a number of government figures encouraged violence and a hard crackdown through their statements. National Commissioner of Police William Dlamini stated that the protests were war, although he later clarified that he still wished for calm and only wished to show that the police were dedicated to restoring order. The editor of the Times blamed this statement, the prohibition of petitions, and a call from Housing and Urban Development Minister Prince Simlan to fight fire with fire for inflaming the situation. The largest opposition party, the People's United Democratic Movement, announced a press conference to be held on the 29th of June. According to party leader Wandile Delulu, over 250 people had been injured, some with bullets and broken bones, by government forces. International NGO Human Rights Watch called for the government to avoid arbitrary use of force, and that the protests should be a wake-up call for the king and his government to heed the legitimate calls for reform. The governments of South Africa, the United States and the United Kingdom also expressed their concern, called for peace to be restored and stated that the right to peaceful protest should be heeded.